Jonah. We got some work, Jonah Babona. We got
some things to do. We gotta get this engine out.
We got Terry Power pushing this thing around the block. We've already got some of that stuff disconnected. Now it's time to get some things removed. Ready? Come on, let's join us. Welcome back to another episode of Terry Thornberry Performance.
That was a weak woo, big dog.
Now the first one was, that's why I followed up with the second one. And the viewers are gonna notice the first one.
Woo! That is the correct way to woo, big dog.
You can see we are now in the Nissan Pathfinder. We showed you on the last video of us basically getting everything to remove the motor. And now, while you guys were watching that video, we were actually removing the motor.
And it's not just an ordinary Pathfinder. It's a 4x4. The original 1987 Pathfinder, baby.
Yep. So the biggest thing with doing this swap, even removing or even installing, is gonna be that front differential. Bing, 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 bing.
It's gonna be killing us.
Yep. So this swap would basically be one of our normal, basically Nissan swaps with a KA. But in this situation, there's gonna be a lot of modification with the oil pan, getting obviously the motor mounts to fit in directly with the transmission.
Custom fabrication, baby.
All that good jazz. Just since this is a 4x4 system, it has a lot more components, meaning just the front axles, the drive shaft, the rear axles, the drive shaft, all the sensors and all the brackets and all that. We want to kind of refrain from removing that and kind of keep it in the system so we can have the motor sit in the proper location instead of us kind of putting the motor in the trans and kind of like having to make other things work. Said drive shaft, both front and rear. So knocking that now out of the ballpark, we're going to go ahead and start getting the oil pan kind of prepped for a lot of surgery to be done. Instead of kind of making it into a rear sump, we're going to try and utilize the front and make it so it's more versatile and user friendly. That being said, I'm kind of done talking about it. That's kind of the overview. We've already said that we're leaving everything around the engine bay already kind of stock, meaning like all the EGR stuff.
Just so it looks as if it was OEM and it passes emissions and the smog test in Arizona.
Like compared to our other swaps that we've done where we've kind of cleaned up the engine bay a lot, this one we're kind of keeping pretty neutral. You know, we'll clean it up, scrub it down, but we're not going to be removing anything like that. So let's go ahead and start removing some stuff. It's not going to be a crazy in-depth video. Me and Terry got a lot of work going on. Let's start showing you what we got to be dealing with in the fab side, ladies and gentlemen. Let's head on over. Alrighty guys, so we're here now at the fab side with both the oil pans. Now you guys might be saying to yourself, oh man, that's not going to be a crazy swap. They all look the same. Wrong. It's said like that. This is the 241 with the front sump, obviously. This is going to be the Z24 with the front wheel drive. And that's going to be that oil pan. So you can see the difference. It's got that large sump in there to kind of go around that front diff like we were telling you. And in this situation, this is only covering the rack and pinion on the 240, where this is covering that diff, remember? Like that. So this is gonna be the biggest drawback. So what we need to do is obviously try and configure it where we still are utilizing the front sump. Just because when it comes down to serviceability or even using it This sump does sit kind of low. If you're off-roading, we don't want to really have a rock or anything hit that. That means you're gonna have no oil in the motor if it does happen to penetrate it. Another thing is if you want to service it, like I said, it was kind of difficult removing the motor with the trans still being stuck in the truck just because there's no pivot point. Everything's just locked in there. So enough chatting. We've now got the oil pan in the surgery room on the table. So we're gonna go ahead and talk it up and see what's the best route of planning this attack. We'll go ahead and kind of mock up the dummy motor to kind of get it positioned into the shell. Like I said, there's a little bit more work that's going on behind the scenes on this one, unfortunately, just for how much work that has to be done. And at the end of the day, since it is a car that's obviously driving, like the car is not around the corner from us, meaning just like rocking the throw distance, it is in Arizona. We need to make sure that everything is good to go. So if he's going to another shop to go service it, we can tell him the right way to go about it instead of kind of us having it to come over here and do stuff. So let's get things mocked up. You guys aren't gonna see too much. Let's get things rolling, baby. Why all the way over there? Let me be shy. Getting the mock-up motor situated, taking the things off that we did on our last setup with the KA swap. So just taking off the transmission because we obviously do not need the S13 drivetrain, and as well taking off the front step oil pan so we can have a clean slate on the bottom. Other than that, we'll be putting this on the good old cherry picker and then just slowly lowering it on in there. Obviously, writing down visual on what we need to take account for obviously our motor mounts and the oil pan, and then start basically drawing up a design on what we need to get done so everything all works happy and efficiently, baby. There's a reason why this is the dummy motor, guys. It literally has a rod hanging off the block. So we're doing these swaps, me and Terry are always coming into situations where we need to maybe possibly put a motor in and see how clearance is. Good old dummy motor is good to go, as well with our dummy trans. Everything is all nice and light to make it easy for us to kind of maneuver and get in there. That's why we got it, baby. Man, lucky for you guys, I can just probably be like this. And the motor's already up in the air, but I gotta keep on jacking it up. You're lucky you're behind the camera. Don't worry, still gotta take one more thing off. Need a rod cap. Now the oil pan's removed. You guys will probably be able to see the motor go up like that. I gotta wait for it to come all the way up. Jack's jacking and jack. Everyone wants to drive. It wants to take off. No, we just have the input shaft into the, obviously, pilot bearing. So we know that the motor is basically sitting where it wants to sit in the trans. We'll just come overhead and we'll get something just to lift the nose up so everything's all flat and we can start seeing where everything actually wants to sit. Go from there. Alrighty guys, so you can see we got the motor in as far as mocked up. Definitely glad we have this set up so me and Terry can visually see on what is in the way, what needs to get measured. Now we can see we're definitely dealing with some clearances on the oil pan. That's definitely gonna be a fun one because there is no room at all. As you can see where the front sump would be, the steering linkages, and obviously it only leaves you enough room for the rear to obviously have a sump. So obviously where oil is gonna be able to get picked up. Right here. So this is the front sump on the 240. That's gonna be hitting the steering linkage. And then obviously this is how much room we have from the diff and the oil pan. And then back there is where the OEM oil sump sits. That's where it has room. So a lot of people will cut those flanges and swap the oil pans over. So you still have the Z24 oil pan, but me and Terry really don't enjoy doing that method. So
not only do we have to do the oil pan, but we have to modify the oil pickup as well.
So it's just kind of like, it's kind of putting a little bit more variables for things to possibly happen down the road. And like I said, we're trying to keep it a pretty OEM setup. So if something goes wrong, right, we can just call up an auto parts store and get a part instead of it having like custom fab stuff made. But that's kind of honestly gonna conclude this episode. Me and Terry got a lot of work to get done. You guys have basically seen the juicy parts on what needs to be done on our part. You've already seen the motor, me just mocking it up there and us talking about the oil pans, getting it all situated so this will be its final forever home. So the next time you guys see it, it'll be in, everything will be done, wired up, and we'll show you guys basically what we tackled to get the job done and situated. Isn't that right?
Yep, just a lot of mocking up, in and out, until we finally make sure that it is 100% exactly how we want it to fit in this chassis. Since this is basically one of one, no one's really done this, no one's really took it.
You can't just go online and like find kits for this stuff, you know what I mean?
So instead of looking up forms, Jack and I feel like we are the forms and we just go after it and we figure out what needs to get done, we get it done, we make it happen, and we make it work, and we let you guys know.
Yeah, because even though this motor looks level to you, it's not level at all. It needs to be tilted over to the exhaust side. That's how these motors sit. So like I said, we've got some finalization to go. We got to make sure we do bubble level it so the nose isn't sitting too heavy, so it's not putting too much obviously weight on the input shaft on the transmission. Like I said, a lot of little things to kind of take into account, especially when you're taking this off the road, meaning like you're not driving on the street, like you're literally taking it off road. If something happens, a tow truck isn't going to come and help you, you know what I mean? Like you need to rely on your buddies that are hopefully with it that are going to help you down the road. And we all been there and we know we don't have buddies like that. So like I said, this is going to be the end of this video as far as us doing the KA into the Pathfinder. So stay tuned. We're going to have definitely some more juicy videos on this whole girl. We'll be seeing it all starting up and basically all the wiring, everything situated that me and Terry doubled with the oil pan.
Show you guys little tips and tricks on what needs to get done. So possibly if you guys have a 4x4 Pathfinder or something that's 4x4 at your house and you guys want to KA swap it,
yep,
you can possibly get it done.
Yeah, we can kind of help you along the road, and if you're just not willing to tackle it on, boom, this is the video to show you that it can be done and we're willing to get it done. So I was going to conclude this video, this episode I should say. Head on back and watch the other further videos that we've done on a couple of the mini trucks and a couple of the import cars. We're going to be heading back into it, but it's actually almost, we just finished Thanksgiving, it's about to be
Benjamin's birthday.
Benjamin's birthday. And you know what that means if you guys have followed along, that means it's the end of the month. So Christmas, New Year's, right? It's the good months. So stay on tune. We definitely got some good things going for you guys, and we cannot wait to show you what we have in store for 2022. I can't believe we're already sitting out already, but it is what it is. So stay tuned. If not, anything to say, big dog? I know, it's crazy. So hope you guys liked and enjoyed this episode. I know it wasn't too informative, but it definitely is knowledgeable for the people who are willing to accept what it needs to be done. Hope you guys liked this episode. Can't wait to see you guys on the street. It's not the street, it's the track. It's the track. It's gonna be the meats, baby.
But stay tuned for that Christmas episode because we got something spicy for you guys.
Remember that deer-proof bash part? Peace out. Woo! Woo! Woo!